I spent a lot of the past couple of hours trying to figure out why my Elgato was not working so that I can then stream or record or whatever things like Pokemon on my Switch, allowing me to be able to just mess around in Shiny Hunt or whatever I want to do. And I really did not think that it could be something to do with a HDMI cable, even though that it uses two HDMI cables to connect with my Elgato, as well as the USB. I thought it was the USB. Long story short, check your cables, otherwise they might not work. I'd like to thank everyone for this. Let me show. Of course, we've got up to 44 subscribers. What's amazing, we grew some subscribers, but it's also the case of this video right here. It got us all the way up to 116 views, what means this is the biggest video that I have on the channel. So yeah, thank you for getting that to the biggest video that I have on my channel, beating out one of my first vlogs that I done, what was like my second one, what was like today's gonna be a good day. So yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I've got no ideas today, so what we're going to do is do a 3-month review of the Lenovo Gaming 3 Gen 7 laptop that I've got a couple months back. Well, 3 months back, to pretty much exactly, because I released the video on November 7th, and today is January 6th. So it's been exactly 3 months because I release videos the next day. So first of all, let's talk about the very basic things of this laptop. It's made for gaming. In the name it literally says gaming, and the point of it is the game outfit. I do suggest that gamers do get this laptop if you are on the go. If you're sitting at home and everything, maybe not so much. It's the case of this laptop is built to be able to, of course, be moved around and to be able to actually go from hotel to hotel or up the country and down the country or abroad. And it's pretty much that. That's it. On top of that, the screen. The screen isn't actually the best screen possible. It's decent for what it is. It does the colors okay. You can see red's red and you can see pink's pink, but it's the case of it's nothing special. It doesn't allow you to be able to really see the textures really well, and it does what it does. It's a screen in the end of the day, especially on a laptop. So I wouldn't suggest to try and color grade off it or do anything like that if you're a video editor like me. Luckily, I don't color correct, what means that I don't have to worry about how much this looks and things like that. And in the future, I will try and color correct in the future. And luckily, there's a HDMI on top of this, which allows me to be able to connect it up to another monitor in the future. It's something that I'm tempted to do, is make this my main rig for maybe a month or something and see how it goes. Because my current rig, even though that it does well for what it does, it's not really quite the thing that I need when it comes to quality as well as how fast I can do things and all that. So maybe I might do something like that in the future. Let's talk about upgradability when it comes to this laptop. I haven't actually looked inside of the actual laptop itself or have decided to upgrade this at all the current moment, but one of the major sell points for this was that I could take off all the screws. They're very small screws, but it is the case of you can take off the screws. If you take off all the screws on the back, you can take it off and replace the battery if you need to. What's great, because that's really helpful if I need to be able to replace the battery because of whatever reason, I overcharged it and made it explode, or it's the case of there's weakened battery after 2-3 years. It always happens with laptops and you always have to replace them. But that's not all you can replace. You can also replace all individual parts, but the major parts that I want to be able to upgrade or replace is the storage. I can actually put in an extra slot to be able to make sure that I actually have more storage in this, because this only currently has 500 gigabytes, minus the little bits for the actual softwares and things that I need. And then it's also the case of I can upgrade my RAM. At the current moment, I'm on 16 gigabytes worth of RAM on this, and I can upgrade it to 32, which is going to be very helpful in the future. One of the major downsides is that you can't upgrade to the actual USB ports, because the USB ports are set in their positions. There's only 2 of them, well, 3 if you actually count the USB-C one, what your phone connector would be. So we've got 2, 1 on each side, and that's all you really get. You do have the upside of a 3.5mm jack, what is really helpful for if you have those earphones that you want to be able to plug in and not have to worry about Bluetooth. It does also have Bluetooth if you don't have those anymore. The downside with the USBs, not having so many USBs, is that even though that can plug in my Elgato and plug in my mouse or plug in anything that I really want to be able to plug in, I will need to have an external system to be able to make it so I have multiple USBs instead of just the two. And that's something that's going to be a downside if I were to daily drive this and make it so that I can plug it into my monitors or anything on my desk. So it's not something that I've currently looked into or decided to do because it's going to cost me a lot of money to set up. The fans aren't too loud when they actually do boot up, and they only boot up for a limited time when I am rendering videos. It's normally like a couple of minutes in and it's a decent sized video or something, and that's when it boots up the fans and is like, hey, by the way, this is going to take a little bit. But it is the case of it does cool down the GPU. It isn't too hot or anything at any time when it does run. And the only other time that the fans will boot in, and it will definitely boot in, and if they don't, I suggest the run because it's going to explode, is if you're playing a reasonably modern game. If you're playing a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Call of Duty or Fortnite, this laptop will play it, but it is the case of it will boot up the fans and you're going to have to plug in the actual laptop very, very soon. One of the major things that I do have is droppages with like Wi-Fi and things when it comes to Fortnite. I don't know if it's a Fortnite thing or if it's just the laptop, or I have to plug it in quite often, and still that doesn't always help it. I think it's a Fortnite thing. The only other issue that I've actually had with this laptop is when I forgot to plug it in properly and everything, an error came up, and that was within like an hour of using it, and that was simply because it died of battery. I tried turning it back on and it came up with like an error stating like, hey, by the way, you need the battery to like fix itself. Searched up the error, people were complaining and going, hey, my whole thing's not charging or that. I'm like, oh no, it's not going to charge. It was literally just not plugged in properly. So make sure that it is plugged in properly and make sure that it does work and everything and functions and things like that. It shouldn't have too many problems when it comes to that. 3 months in, I know I definitely do still suggest the Lenovo Gaming 3 Gen 7 laptop. It's a mouthful to be able to say, so I just end up saying my Lenovo rig or saying like my main laptop or whatever you want to call it. I haven't had a practical element of being able to take it anywhere but my house at the current moment. It works completely fine, moving between rooms and everything, and it pretty much lives rather underneath my bed or in here when I'm not using it, so it just sort of sits in between like my little fridge that I have and my little seats, so I can always just go sit watch TV whilst I just go edit and whack in my laptop. So in the future I will be taking this to places and actually showing off me actually using it, as well as maybe even reviewing it in 6 months time or a year's time when I actually fully have understood the ramifications of actually buying this laptop, because at the current moment I'm paying £42 or whatever a month to be able to, of course, have this laptop for the next 2 years. So it's probably going to hit at some stage, and I hope that it's not at a time where it's really bad for financially. So the only time that I would suggest gamers this over a actual like PC or like an actual desktop, I should say, is when you are going to be out and about, moving about, or you can't have a permanent place for your laptop or your PC. So what it would be is if you have kids, you can't be in a certain room at certain times and all that, I would suggest to be able to take this around, especially as you'll be able to just plug it into the sitting room, or you can go plug it into your bedroom, or you can go plug it into the closet, wherever you need to actually go. I would really suggest it for those sorts of gamers that need to be able to move about, so parents or people that are moving around quite often because they're traveling or whatever they're doing. The only other time that I would suggest to use this laptop is if you're a video editor or anything along those creative sides of things, unless you need to be able to make specific colors be certain ways, because you're going to need an external monitor for that. So it's really good for creative work. I've used it for all my edits, or pretty much all my edits for the past like 3 months, so it's been amazing to be able to edit with it, and I'm editing it with it more than ever at the current moment because of daily videos. That's basically what the Lenovo laptop has been like for me, and I hope that in the future it will stay as good as it is at the moment. Maybe I should decorate it a little bit more, because at the moment the blue is the only thing that gives it away of being a powerful laptop. Maybe I should just cover up the blue or something, but those are like fans and stuff, so I don't want to mess around with that too much. So yeah, it is a decent laptop. So if you want a decent laptop, get this. If not, get something very basic like a Chromebook or a Samsung Go, because these are pretty good for the internet. These are pretty good to be able to browse the internet and do very basic functions. This is a beast and should not be used by the general consumer that just wants to browse the internet, watch a few videos and message friends, like this one is for. These are very heavy. Okay, thank you very much.